yourselves a round of applause. That's for you. That's not for me. That's for you. Why? Because you're here. You're here. What do I mean? Well, when you wake up every day, you say to yourself, subconsciously, most people, some people verbally if that works for them, but subconsciously, you say, you know, this is it. Today's the day. Like, I'm doing it today. Like, I'm waking up right now. Whether you wake up at 6 a.m. or 2 p.m., you woke up and you're here. So, round of applause for that. That's the first step. That's the first step. Step number 2, because we're gonna be moving fast. So, if you need pen and paper, now's a good time to grab it. I'll pause for the people who didn't come prepared. Here's step 2. Step 2. People always ask me, how do you do it? How do you do it? You know? And I'm usually taken back by that question because, well, that's a question that you could answer yourselves. You could answer that question with your own question. How do you do it? How do you do it? Now, when I say people, when I tell when I tell people that, I'm laughing because I just love it so much. And so when people say, how do you do it? Nate, how do you, where'd you get that shirt, right? Where'd you get that shirt, Nate? Ralph Lauren, it was on sale. Easy question answer sort of thing right there. Now if someone came up to me at the store and they said, better example, I'm at a restaurant and the waiter comes up and says to me, hi, what could I help you with today? And I'm just like, well, that's a pretty simple question. I'm here for food, so I'm gonna, can I get a minute to look over the menu? To which she would probably say, yeah, sure, I'll get your water or your drink or whatever it is. I drink water a lot. And, you know, and then I wait for her to bring me my water, and by that time, I probably have my food picked out. Depending on where it is. If it's Olive Garden, I don't go there a lot, but just as an example, if it's Olive Garden, maybe I'm getting a pasta dish, some fettuccine Alfredo, chicken Alfredo, maybe shrimp Alfredo, if I'm at the beach, something like that. And she comes back and she brings me, this actually happened, she brings me my drink and is like, are you ready to order? And I do like a little once over to my friends because they're at the table with me, and I'm like, are you gonna, you know what I mean, like that sort of thing, because I don't know who's gonna order first. But she looks at me and I go, oh, I'll have the does this come with a side, you know what I mean? And she's like, well, what are you looking at, hold on. And so she comes over and she sits down. I'm sitting there with my menu. This is my menu. I'm looking at the menu and I'm like, does this come with a side? And she comes over and she like leans over me and goes, oh yeah, that comes with a side. So I'm like, oh, okay. Where are the sides? Because I'm not seeing them here. I don't see any sides. And she's like, oh, just turn the page because you're actually at the lunch menu, but we have that for dinner as well. I didn't tell you because so whatever. It's neither here nor there. I forgive her for that. But so I'm like, oh, okay, could I actually get maybe someone else can order. So my friend orders it was some ravioli. They split a bottle of wine. But anyway, so it finally comes back to me, and this is all relative, I promise. She comes back to me and is like, do you know what you want as your side now? And I'm like, are the mashed potatoes, are they like really mashed? Because, you know, sometimes you go to a restaurant and it's like they have like whipped potatoes sort of, and mashed potatoes are kind of more gritty and they may have the skin. And so I'm like, how are the potatoes like? And she's like, you know, actually I've never had them. So I'm like, okay. Well, in that case, I'll do the green beans. And is it like a big, and I stopped her, I'm like, is it a big portion of green beans, or is it like a small portion? Because I know I get the soup with my... I know I get the breadsticks and the soup with my order, like chicken and gnocchi soup is what I got. But do I get... like, how big is the side? You know what I mean? Because if it's a small side, then I might go 2 sides or something. And she's like, it's a good amount. And I'm like, well, what's a good amount? Right? Because I want to know. And she's like, well, it's probably something like this big. Something like this big. And I go, okay, I'll get the green beans. And we wait for our food, and we're talking and whatever. And the food comes to our table, and we're like, oh hey, this is great, right? And I'm so happy to get my food, and I'm digging in, and I'm eating, and my friends are eating, and we're laughing, we're telling stories, reminiscing. And I get to my green beans. And I dip my fork in, and I lift it up, and there's butter dripping from the green beans, and there's steam coming off the fork. And the steam wraps its warm hands around my nose and gives them a hug, right? It gives my nose a hug, and I'm just completely just drawn in by these green beans, right? And I take the first bite, and my teeth come down, and the juices pop into either sides of my cheeks. It's a big explosion of flavor. And I just remember thinking, man, I'm really glad I got the green beans instead of the house salad or the mashed potatoes, which my friend got and were iffy, and I was right about that. They were kind of grittier, and I was looking for a more whip in my potato, right? So I'm like, man, I'm really glad I got these green beans. So I'm eating them, and I'm like, you know, my friends see me, and they're like, you glad you got the green beans? And I'm like, yeah, honestly, I am. I'm really glad I got them. In the moral of the story, step 2, we were on step 1, this is step 2. Step 2 is something this small can have an impact this big, right, on your day, on your life. What's step 3? Find that thing. Find that one thing, even if it's this small, and find it. And when you found it, you can do what you want. And if I were to leave you with one thing, just remember